This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Hello, joining us today is Sean Heathcote, the CEO of Neo Energy Metals. Following the news this week of key findings of the report completed by South African-based mining consultancy group Erudite Strategies. Now, Neo Energy IPO'd in November, and the first task was to complete this economic study, which has now been completed. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Pam. Great to be back on Stockbox.
Great to have you back with us. Now, from reading the RNS this morning, Erudite has completed an independent update of both the operating and capital cost estimates previously defined in the feasibility study completed on the Henkries project by Anglo Operations Limited in 1979. Now, there's 3 financial modelling scenarios that have been identified as requested by yourself. Tell us a little bit more about them.
Yeah, I think the key thing that Erudite did for us, they updated the detailed feasibility study that Anglo completed. There was thousands of pages of documentation. For 4 or 5 years worth of work. There was 12,000 meters of drilling, 250 test pits, 6 months of pilot plant test work. So there was an enormous amount of information on the project. And what we tasked them to do was basically take that cost estimate, which there was from 1979, update it to the scenarios that we identified and provide us with both a capital and an operating cost for those scenarios. And just to outline a little bit of what those scenarios were, we called it the low case, which is essentially what's in the JORC report as it stands at the minute, which we deem as a very conservative approach, which is a £4.7 million resource. Then we're calling it the CPR estimate because part of the CPR, there was a couple of small bits of work that were identified in terms of surface sampling and some infill drilling on one of the regions of the deposit, which would get us to £7 million. So we call that the CPR case, and that's a very realistic case from our perspective to achieve. And then we have the target case, which is what we've been telling everybody all along, is we're trying to get to £10 million worth of resource and make it a 10-year life of mine and get to about £1 million processing of U3O8 per annum. So that's our target case. But we need to do a little bit more drilling in order to get to the target case. So what we've told the market at present is really we're in the CPR case because that's eminently achievable in a very short time scale, but we've given them all of the data on where the project currently sits at the minute. And it really has met our expectations in terms of the return on investment and the low capital cost and the low operating cost. So it's confirmed everything we thought about the project. It's been done independently and it's bang up to date in terms of where the costing sits.
Yes. So what funding options are available to you to fund this?
I think everybody's aware that QGC is backing us. They'll be one of our largest investors once all of their subscription agreements are in place, up to about 29% of the business. And in essence, they're looking at an option for us to look at debt funding. They've got an entity called AUO out of Dubai and a fund that is also backing AUO. And they've already been looking at the work that's been completed to date, historical and all the work that we've actually put in place since listing to sort of review and sort of take a better option on what it is that they're going to be investing in. And they're very positive about moving that forward, which is probably going to be significantly debt funded, so we don't dilute the existing shareholders. There's probably a little bit of equity that might come in there at some stage, but we're looking at the various options. Added to which, following this announcement coming out, there's been a number of entities that have contacted us, both from a streaming perspective, from a trading perspective, and from further investment debt and equity perspective. So it really has sparked a lot of interest in the marketplace. And we're very pleased to see that what we've been trying to achieve since listing is finally coming to fruition.
Yes, it sounds it. And now that the studies have been completed, what comes next exactly? Is it for you to start proceeding through those steps immediately?
Yeah, I mean, we're sticking with what we put in the prospectus in terms of, obviously, we updated the capital estimate. We confirmed that it is a low cost, low capital cost, low operating cost, easy to mine, easy to process option. The next phase is to do the drilling work that we're fully funded for in terms of what we listed on in terms of the prospectus. And obviously, we're going to be putting somewhere in the region of 7,000 to 7,500 meters worth of additional holes in the ground. The first few holes will be to update the Henkries North deposit, which will get us to the CPR case in terms of the resource that's available to £7 million. And we'll do an analysis on the surface samples. And we try and do those simultaneously so that we can actually roll from the surface analysis into the drilling program so that we don't have to change batch processes with the laboratories. So we're trying to roll that forward. And from that point onwards, we'll go into the further exploration drilling, which will then hopefully get us to the £10 million. And from every indication that we've seen to date, the £10 million should be easily achievable because, in essence, we've only drilled 10% of the paleo channel. So we've got 90% of the 36 kilometers still to go, which is where the source of the uranium comes from. So we're extremely confident that we're going to get to the target case of £10 million of resource in a very short space of time.
Yes, and referring to that £10 million, the RNS clearly states to increase the JORC resource to over £10 million of uranium in the second half of this year, but also states that there's ongoing discussions with offtake partners and mine developing financing. So can you just clarify for us? I know you have just touched on it as well, Sean, but what is it that you're trying to do here? And are you looking at funding options now or increasing the JORC resource to make it more attractive?
I think the target case is very clear from us, but to get from the £7 million to the £10 million is we should be able to do that with the fully funded drilling program that we've got currently. So we will be increasing the size of the resource to the £10 million, subject to us finding it. Obviously, we've got to get the drill rig in the ground and move it forward. But we have seen from all historical drilling, whenever you do infill drilling or exploration drilling along the line of strike, along the paleo channel, then we do find the resource. And it's just a matter of getting the drill rig there. So that's what we're doing. So we will be aiming to get to the £10 million and beyond with the additional drilling that we're going to be doing. But the funding options that are on the table, and the reason we put those three options there for the low case was to prove that even as it stands now, with no additional drilling, the project is economically viable. With the small amount of work that we're going to be doing over the next 3 to 4 months in terms of the drilling and the analysis thereof, it's easy to get to the 7, then to the 10, and then the funding options are, in essence, be debt funding, streaming funding from various entities that have approached us, but most significantly from QGC, our local partner, who are very keen to get this into production as quickly as possible. Their focus is finding shallow, superficial deposits that can be gotten into operations particularly quickly in the energy metals space. So we fit perfectly into their portfolio of what they're trying to achieve.
That's wonderful. Well, it sounds like you have a very clear way forward, Sean. And we do look forward to speaking to you again very soon and hearing more about the developments with Neo Energy Metals here at Stockbox.
Thank you very much, Pam. And again, great to talk to you and great to get this message across to all of the shareholders and all of your viewership.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.